Alex.
And I'm Lexi, and we are from Ms. Creelman's second period GT English class at Allen High School, and this is our independent study project.
After seeing a video in class, we decided to conduct our own social experiments. However, with limited time and resources, we had to limit those experiments.
So, in our first experiment, we ran 3 trials in which I pretend to be a new student from Frisco, Texas. I go into a sophomore class each of the 3 times and have a different character and appearance in each classroom. And we walk in, we have a hypothesis on what we think is going to happen, but what we found was our results were very different from the expected reactions. So we're going to walk you through each trial and show you what I looked like in the character that I put on and explain to you what we found.
In the first trial, Lexi dressed in the current trends, like what you would see around AHS. She acted shy and sweet, and so we thought people would be more receptive and inclusive.
So I walk into the classroom, and the teacher introduces me as Leslie Pierce from Frisco, Texas, and she assigns me a seat. So I sit down, and everyone's taking a quiz, so I'm sitting there silently. But after the quiz, one girl does come up to me and initiate conversation, where she asked me about what school I went to in Frisco, and if I knew her friend. However, when I didn't know her friend, she cut off all conversation and did not seem very interested in talking to me anymore. So then there was not much interaction for the rest of class till the very end when we had to circle up for a discussion, and 2 guys invited me to sit next to them. There was a little bit of small talk, but overall, I did not feel overly welcomed.
Overall, things didn't go as we expected. In trial 2, Lexi dressed sloppy and had a careless persona. We expected people to avoid her and to be turned off by her.
So I walk in and I'm like, "Hey guys, I'm Leslie, I'm from Frisco." And in unison, everyone responds, "Hi Leslie," and I find a seat and sit down. And the teacher asks everyone as a warm-up question what their favorite love story is and if they believe in true love. So everyone goes around, and of course everyone believes in true love, and their favorite story is Twilight or Romeo and Juliet. And it comes to me. I tell her I don't believe in true love, and if there was a love story that I liked, it would be 50 Shades of Grey, which is not a real love story.
I noticed a girl made a face at you when you said you liked 50 Shades of Grey. I talked to her after, and she said she wanted nothing to do with you. But then there was that one girl who said that she still wanted to be nice to you regardless of your attitude.
Yeah, that one girl, she was really nice. No matter how much I tried to push her away, she still tried to be my friend and invited me to be in their group for a project. She said at the end when we went back to talk to her, she said she felt bad for me and thought I needed a friend, and she'd rather put herself out there and get hurt than risk me being hurt. So it was really nice. But something that was interesting was she'd been in a position where she had been bullied before, so she had a different perspective than some of the other kids.
Another kid said she was an outsider, and the other one said he wasn't mentally prepared.
So overall, people didn't like me, but I did receive more welcome than the other class, and with the exception of the one girl who felt bad, everyone admitted that they didn't really want to be my friend.
In this trial, Lexi dressed nice and churchy, and we expected people to welcome her until she began talking and acting overly confident, which we thought people would then not want to associate with her.
So I walked in and introduced myself as Leslie Pierce from Frisco, Texas, and everyone said hi. But then the teacher assigned me a seat all by myself because everyone was about to take a quiz. After the quiz, which took about 15 minutes, the teacher then moved me up to the front of the class with a table full of girls, which included the class leader. However, nobody really talked to me, and when the teacher asked us questions, I brought up Spark Notes, kind of showing them that I was a slacker, and brought up 50 Shades of Grey, saying that was my favorite book. And one girl laughed when I mentioned the book, and so I turned over to her and I was like, "Hey, we can be best friends!" And she totally rejected me.
And no one initiated a conversation with her or wanted to talk to her at all. Most of them were very uncomfortable, and several girls had a hard time even looking at you after your 50 Shades of Grey comment. And your slacker comments were not appreciated either. They thought that you were trouble, and several thought that you were overly confident. But aside from all the bad, there was a girl who said she wanted to get to know you because you were so different, and that she thought you belonged at their table because it was a slacker table.
Of course. But once again, I did not feel overly welcomed in this situation.
Each time our hypothesis was partially or even completely rejected. Clearly, we were unable to come with a finite conclusion since our results were based on situations that had many variables. Some of them included that 2 of the classes were GT, which created a unique and biased environment. No regular classes were tested. The first trial, someone recognized Lexi, limiting the participants within the trial. The third trial only lasted about half the time of the first 2. None of the classes had the same agenda, which changed the opportunity for the interaction within with the class. Each class had begun class with a quiz, and so that could have prevented a typical welcome. Only high school sophomores were tested, and so that may not be accurate for older or younger generations. Lexi's varying personalities changed to match her appearance, but the amount of initiated interaction remained constant despite the change of character. Although we do not have an answer as to why people acted the way they did, this experiment was eye-opening, and Lexi and I both learned a lot throughout this project. Okay, in our second experiment, we tested the overall selfishness of humankind. Once again, our sample was made up of high school students, but this time primarily juniors and seniors, so the results are specific to one generation. We gave out 2 surveys, Form A and Form B. Form A focuses on scenarios in which a person would be giving another person help, while Form B asks questions in which a person would receive help. Also, note that the answers to the questions may not be what the people would actually do.
So, in Form A, we asked if you knew your friend's boyfriend cheated on her, would you tell her? And about 89% of the people said yes, and 11% said no. And the flip side, the results lined up pretty well, where we asked in Form B, if you were cheated on, would you want your friend to tell you? And we got about 90% of the people said yes, and 10% said no, they would not want to be told. So, in this case, the results lined up. So for the second question, those taking Form A were asked, if you knew your friend could only afford a $10 gift for Christmas, but you had $30, would you buy him or her a more expensive gift? About 69% of the people said yes, they would, while 31% said no, they would not. In Form B, we asked, if you gave a friend a gift for Christmas, do you expect one in return? And 88% of the people said no, and 12% said yes. These answers did not line up, such as they did in the first question, but we think this had a lot to do with the questions not being exact reciprocals of each other, where one was talking about a more expensive gift and one was talking about receiving a gift at all. So this is why we think that the results did not line up perfectly in this situation. Another thing to keep in mind is the fact that to answer yes in Form A would be to imply that you were not being selfish, while answering no in Form B would also imply that you are not being selfish. So in this case, the charts look very different, but in reality, they do line up to an extent. It's just the percentages are vastly different. We asked those taking Form A that if they saw a friend trip in the hallway, if they would stop and help them pick their stuff up, and about 91% of the people said yes, they would help, and 9% said no. In Form B, we asked people that if they were to trip in the hallway, would they want their friend to help them pick their stuff up, and about 77% of the people said yes, and 23% said no. So in this case, we found that a greater percentage would rather give the help than be on the receiving end. For question number 4, we switched things up a little bit, and instead of a friend falling in the hallway, we asked the question where a complete stranger was involved. So for Form A, the question was, if you saw a complete stranger drop his stuff in the hallway, would you help him? And we noticed a significant drop because only 57% of the people said that yes, they would help them, while 43% said no. Form B, we also saw a drop in the percentages on the receiving end, where we asked, if you tripped in the hallway, would you want a complete stranger to help you up? And this time only 58% of the people said yes, they would like the help, and 42% said no. So when we threw a complete stranger into the picture, our results did line up better, as seen in the charts below. For question 5, we switched things up even more and asked the same question, but the scenario took place in the mall instead of at school. So where school, most people would know each other. In the mall, you would be surrounded by complete strangers. We wanted to see if there was a difference in how people would act. So we asked Form A, if you saw someone you did not know trip in the mall, would you help them up? We saw an even further decline in the number of people that would say yes, they would help, because only 41% would help the stranger, while 59% said they would not. In Form B, the results actually did not decline that much. In fact, they went up very slightly. And when we asked, if you tripped in the mall, would you want a complete stranger to help you up? Where 60% of the people said yes and 40% said no. So this was interesting because where you have the number of people that wanted to help declined because the situation was around complete strangers, the number of people that wanted the help did not. For question number 6, we took out the factor of being surrounded by a bunch of people you may or may not know, such as in a school environment or the mall. And we asked, if you noticed someone's car wasn't starting in the parking lot, would you help him? And then on the flip side, if you would like to receive the help. So for Form A, where we asked if you would help the person in the parking lot, we saw a decline in the number of people that would help once again, where only 44% of the people said that they would, and 56% of the people said they would not help. However, on the receiving end, we did see a very significant increase in the number of people that would want the help, with 79% of the people saying yes and 21% of the people saying no. And to keep in mind, this could have to do with the environment because people are not necessarily around to be watching. Question number 7 was interesting just because it corresponded with our first experiment. In Form A, we asked if there were a new kid, would you sit next to him in class and befriend him? 67% of the people said yes and 33% said no. Although this is interesting because what we found in our first experiment was not 67% of the people were welcoming. It was actually almost none of the people in any of the situations. And in Form B, we asked, if you were the new kid, would you want someone to welcome you and befriend you? And of course, a higher percentage said yes than in Form A, just because they're on the receiving end. And so 85% of the people said yes, they would love for someone to approach them and befriend them, while 15% said no. For question number 8, we asked in Form A, if you saw a bully crying at school, would you comfort them? 43% of the people said they would, and 57% of the people said they would not. And on the flip side, in Form B, we asked, if you were bullied at school, would you want someone to stand up for you? And 67% of the people said yes, while 33% said no. This is one that did not really line up, the answers in Form A and B, but we think this is partially because in Form A, we asked, would you comfort the bully? Whereas Form B, we asked if the victim wanted to be comforted. So the results are skewed and do not line up. However, the results were interesting. Question number 9 was the same on both Form A and Form B, but the results were different. We asked Form A, do you think humans are selfish? But Form A was focused more on the giving part of selfishness, whereas would you help this person? While Form B was on the receiving end, would you like the help? So in Form A, we found that more people did think that humans were selfish when they were focusing on the giving part of selfishness, whereas not as many people said that humans are selfish when they were put on the receiving end in the scenarios. But overall, in both situations, we found that most people did feel that humans are selfish.
We hope you enjoyed our presentation
And even learned something new.